into Turkish captivity. Capture did not end the prisoners' sufferings. Painful marches, thirst and hunger, brutal treatment lay ahead. 2/3 of them were to die in captivity. The fall of Kut released Turkish reserves. In 1915, feeble Turkish attacks on the Suez Canal had been easily repulsed. Now, in August 1916, the Turks launched a major offensive in Egypt. Half their force was destroyed, and the rest retreated into Palestine. Egypt and the Suez Canal were secure. The British commander in Egypt, Sir Archibald Murray, wanted to crown his success with a victorious counterstroke. Stage by stage, the British in Egypt were drawn into a major campaign for the conquest of the Holy Land. Across the Sinai Desert they marched, the route taken by Bonaparte in 1799. Like Bonaparte, the British government allowed themselves to be dazzled by the names of fabulous cities, holy places that had lured European soldiers since the Crusades, Jerusalem and Damascus. This too was a war for old-fashioned objectives, but it was fought with modern means. A wire netting track for vehicles was laid across the wastes of sand, and a pipeline to bring up the water without which the men and beasts of the army could not live. Mile by mile, a railway was laid behind the army, linking it with its base in the Nile Delta. By March 1917, Murray was through the desert and at the gates of Palestine. Murray's mounted regiments, British, Australian, New Zealand and Indian, were the key to his plan of attack on the Turkish defenses.
Our particular job was to follow through with the light horse and get the other side of Gaza and come round towards the sea, kind of so that the Turks were actually enclosed. They had the sea on one side of them and troops all round them.
In the confusion of battle, the British thought they had failed, when in fact the Turks were on the edge of defeat.
There was a withdrawal, and we went back a short way for the night, much to our disappointment because the objectives had been reached. But the disappointment and dismay and bewilderment was all the greater the next morning when we'd found we'd got to do it all over again.
The Second Battle of Gaza was a bloody British repulse. As Kut had ended Nixon's command, Gaza ended Murray's. The Turks still barred the road to Jerusalem and Damascus. The British and Australian troops settled down for a long wait in the empty, scorching wastes of the Sinai.
Our biggest problem was monotony. You'd see the sun get up in a big red ball in the morning, and you'd go around in a big red ball at night. And that was your only sense of time, actually. And nothing but sand dunes as far as the eye could see. and you had the heat in the day, you're lying in the sand, the glare of the sun, the glare of the desert. Your rifle barrels would get that hot in the middle of the day that you couldn't hold them. You'd have to hold it by the wood.
In Mesopotamia, there was now a new commander, Sir Stanley Maude. He was an organizer, not a gambler. The base at Basra was reorganized, re-equipped. So were the army's transport services and communications. There was abundant modern equipment of every kind. By the end of 1916, Maude commanded an army 4 times larger than the Turkish force in front of him. Maude was ready. When the British advanced this time, there was no gamble, no drama, no adventure. Maude's personality stamped the expedition with cool professionalism. Yet the objective remained the same, Baghdad. Carefully, irresistibly, Maude swept the Turks northward out of Kut, on up the river Tigris. On the 11th of March, the British at last entered the city of the Caliphs.
Nothing could have been more casual, easy, and unofficial than our entry into Baghdad. 4 of us, the colonel and the adjutant of the King's Own, a gunner officer and myself would be in first. The weariness of the long pursuit was forgotten. Here they were, in Baghdad, the goal of their desires.
At the gates of Palestine, the British forces south of Gaza also had a new commander, General Allenby, sometimes known as the Bull. Allenby's leadership transformed the bored troops in the Sinai Desert into an army eager to attack. Preparations for a great offensive gathered speed. Allenby wrote home,
"I shall not attempt anything on a big scale until I have got what has been promised me. I've made a lot of changes since I came out here and have now a good staff and some capable commanders. My army is in good spirits and is confident of success."
The objective remained the same, the Holy Land and Syria, Damascus and Jerusalem. In September 1917, Allenby was ready. It was the year of the Russian Revolution, the year of Passchendaele. Britain badly needed a prestige victory. Lloyd George told Allenby that he was expected to give the British nation Jerusalem as a Christmas present. Cavalry was the instrument of victory. Allenby tricked the Turks into thinking he was going to make another attack on Gaza, while his horsemen rode in a wide sweep to launch a surprise attack on the Turkish flank at Beersheba.
And the cavalry charge, which was made by the Australian Light Horse, was made with fixed bayonets on rifles in 3 lines of horsemen. Well, they charged through as the first line jumped over the first lot of trenches, and the Turks simply slung it in. They didn't put up a fight. Once the horsemen got in amongst them, that was the finish.
Outfought, outmaneuvered, the Turks fell back, with Allenby in relentless pursuit. In 10 days, the British advanced 50 miles. Arab fishing boats carried essential supplies to beaches close behind the advancing army. While the Arabs hauled their craft ashore, Allenby's pursuit swept on. The Turks were split in 2. One group amid the orange groves of the plain of Sharon, and the other in the stony hills of Judea. Allenby swung his main weight east, towards Jerusalem, racing to beat the onset of the winter rains.
And then we began to approach the Judean hills. Here we met deluges of rain, and as we went up those hills it became colder and colder. We had certainly got our jackets, but we were wet through from morning till night.